fix this. All this content, I started back in August of last year, and man, it has been pretty hard. I think the hardest part of it is that I have been trained in an education system that has focused on being very diligent and responsible with the things that I have to say. And my opinions or my thoughts have to be filtered with the thought that my words can be impactful to my clients. And in the last 10 years that I've been working as a therapist, I've also have been walking away a little bit from therapy. I have been expanding myself into different parts of the profession where I can maybe provide some more help and really enjoy different things that I think I can do. And this is one of them. And I've been wanting to talk to people and kind of reach out to them from different angles for a while now, specifically in the podcast realm. And I've been really shy about it. I've felt very insecure to engage in this realm for numerous reasons. One, because I'm a pretty sensitive person, and I didn't want to do all this work and for it to fall flat. And the reality is that it has fallen quite flat, and that's okay, because I am learning how to do this as I go. And one of the things that I really want to talk about is vulnerability and how difficult it is to be vulnerable. And I talk about vulnerability with all my clients in different ways, like vulnerability in communication, vulnerability with your internal process, and how to expand your mind in ways that are more honest and authentic. And I want to do that with you. And in the next couple of minutes, I want to be vulnerable about how I feel as a therapist. And being a therapist is not the hardest job that you can have. I've had other jobs. Before college, I was a server, and I worked in banquets, and I also worked in restaurants. And I would say that was significantly harder than being a therapist. It was easier because I didn't have any projects or documents or anything to do after work, but it was harder to do. I was standing for long hours. I was running around. I was dealing with some of the worst behaviors you can deal with. I worked at a sports bar, and I also worked at a golf course. So I dealt with individuals that were, a bit tight on money, with individuals that were socioeconomically really, really high levels that of wealth that came with certain behaviors. And in therapy, I don't deal with any of that. Everybody's very kind to me. Everybody's very respectful to me. My clients, even the ones that have challenged me, it's always been very respectful and kind, and I appreciate that. And the relationships that I have formed in the last years have been wonderful, specifically the ones with my clients, which are the people that I work with. But being a therapist is difficult in different ways. One, when you start out as a therapist, you are irresponsibly paid very low. And I think this is an important thing to talk about, because with therapy, you have a human on the other side that's the therapist. And yeah, we work on ourselves, and there's our expectations that we are supposed to comport ourselves, but we have feelings too, and we have needs. And quite frankly, going to college for the years that we went to was not cheap, and nobody made me do it, but I and like many others had to get student loans. And then there was life, right? I wanted to get married, and I wanted to be able to buy a house, and I wanted to do so many things that I dreamed of that I was told that I can do if I go to school and I do the right thing. And the reality is that it hasn't happened. Not all the things, at least. I mean, I'm married, and I've been able to purchase things and do things that I wasn't able to do before. But at the beginning of the career, at least for the first, I would say, 4 years of being a therapist, economically, you're abused. I was making more money as a server than I was in the first 4 years of my career. And insurance companies, pay okay once you're licensed, but when you're pre-licensed, you're not. And that's hard. That's very difficult, because by the time that you're at that stage in the world, you are in a different type of stage, right? You are getting married. You are potentially starting to want to have kids. You are now visiting the doctor for different reasons, and the cost of living is going higher. And on top of that, you are in a world where you have to worry about documentations. You're audited significantly more, especially if you're working with Medicaid. And these things compound on themselves, and it became very, very difficult for me. And I wanted to leave this career many times. I've tried many times to stop being a therapist. And for whatever reason, I always landed back into being a therapist because the venture that I tried didn't work, or because things kind of worked out a little bit better. And quite frankly, I'm very grateful that it did work out for me, because now I do work and do well within reason in my career, and I'm happy. And, I obviously want to make more money, but I wanted more, and not monetarily. I wanted more than just the intakes and assessments, diagnosing and working on my evidence-based practices and building rapport. I wanted more. I wanted to do more. I wanted to reach more individuals that I am not able to reach sitting here every day. And this is why I came to wanting to do this. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've actually been listening to podcasts since 2010. I started with Mark Maron and then hopped into different podcast realms. And I never really thought I was wanting to do this, but I have found myself being in a space where I really do. So, why has therapy been the thing that I find also difficult? Because there is also a culture that comes with therapy. And there is a culture that I'm not necessarily part of. And as an outsider, from different perspectives, because I am pretty therapeutic in many ways, but from many perspectives, I've struggled with kind of not feeling like I fit into the therapy world, from different aspects, right? And it's not a secret that therapy is predominantly dominated by females. And, I'm totally comfortable with it. I've always worked with women. I have no issues with that. I actually pleasantly enjoy it. And it's very nice, but it starts to feel a little bit lonely as you grow in the career as a straight male. And it has become very difficult for me to find strong connections in my field for that reason. And I have some friends that are my colleagues, but I'm not calling them on a Saturday for a barbecue, or I'm not going to play golf with them, or going on a trip with them, or going to a restaurant after work, because it's inappropriate. It's just not the right thing for me to do. Like, I'm not, like, they're all, literally everybody in my practice is a female. I can grab coffee with them, but I'm not going to go to dinner to have drinks with them. It just doesn't, it doesn't feel right unless we're in a group, which is totally fine. And look, I've gone to go get my nails done with them, and I'm, again, totally fine with that. But it becomes very lonely. So this brings me to this, right? And I've talked about my introduction to social media and stuff like that. And my venture to social media in reality has been a way for me to exercise my creativity and to exercise some of the stuff that I want to do in order to not feel as lonely. I'm very happy in my marriage. I do have a few friends that I still keep in touch with, but overall, I just wanted something more. So I went on a bit of a tangent on different things here, but that's one aspect of me. Another aspect of me is that I have a difficult time with some of the subcultures in my field. And I'll talk about this moving forward, but there are things in therapy that other people are not aware of. And there are some cultural norms that if you do not agree with, you can get a lot of pushback. And the pushback is silent, but it's very present. And sometimes individuals and many therapists don't really talk about that. And I want to start talking about some of these things significantly more. So I want to invite you to tell me, what are some of the vulnerabilities that you struggle with? And I'll talk a little bit more about vulnerabilities as well. And yeah, welcome to my space Thank you for listening to me. I am going to post this. Hopefully is I'm really not going to edit it. I might like chop the intro and outro just so I can tighten it up. But yeah, let me know your thoughts of what you want. What do you want to know about a therapist? Like, what do you want to know about our lives? Where it's not just me telling you clinical tips or the shorts that you might see and find on my Instagram or here on YouTube or on my other areas of social media, right? What is it about therapy that you really want to understand? And what is it about therapists that you really want to understand? And yeah, I don't have a name for this. I'm actually going to allow myself to go through it without naming it. So for now, it'll be nameless. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming with me to this journey. I'm going to record some videos that are for my shorts and my reels, and I'll go from there. And then I have some clients in a few minutes as well. So take care. In between sessions, I think that's a cool one. You know, I think there's another podcast called that, so I might not do that. But yeah, in between sessions, maybe that'll be it. Peace.